Hi, my name is Zoya Latif, and I am honored to introduce Mary Ashley this morning. One thing about MA that has absolutely captivated me all of high school is her handwriting. Last year in English, I sat next to her most of the time, and I would get so distracted just by watching her write that I would forget what we were doing. Sorry, Miss Goodman. Anyways, I know she will have something beautifully written to share today, so give it up for the girl who is as beautiful and elegant as her handwriting, Mary Ashley Murrah.
I loved the lake house. I really couldn't tell you when I first started going to that place because I had grown up swimming in that lake water. It must have clouded my memory. The white-sided, green-trimmed masterpiece that my Papa James and Dad had constructed when my dad was just a kid was the most tangible thing that represented my family. We all loved the lake house. Lounging in her paisley chair, Mom would read her HGTV magazines while my cousins and I jumped off the cliffs into that lake water. My dad and uncles would play cards on the bobbing dock and reminisce on their childhood memories they had in that same place. Gazing from my seat on the boat, I would catch sight of my grandmother tending her sprawling garden beneath her home. My grandmother's garden wasn't just any garden. There were rows upon rows of glorious flowers sprinkled with butterflies and hummingbirds in hues that could only make you smile. The lake house even became brighter with the more flowers that my grandmother added to her collection. Every day, she would walk with me through those roses and irises and tell me about her flowers. I would look at my family on the dock, my grandmother with her flowers, and smell the scent of my grandmother's biscuits wafting from the place that I loved and was warmed with comfort. But then, it sold. That's what they told me. I was heartbroken. My lake house was gone. I thought I was upset because the fun was gone, but as I began to reflect, I realized that selling the lake house felt like selling my family. Where would my mom read her magazines? Where would my grandmother garden? Where would I make my memories? My grandmother came to Memphis in the spring to be closer to us. She moved to a condo, which I thought was ridiculous. How could she go from my lake house to a condo? That summer, we had a huge dinner there. I had tried to avoid the condo because I knew it would only remind me of what was sold. However, I stomped in, humping my lacrosse bag and a bit of teen angst, but was met with my lake house. My dad and uncles were playing cards on the dining room table, my mom was watching HGTV, and my cousins, who were snuggled on the couch looking through an old photo album of our lake house. After a while, I peeked out to the backyard and caught my grandmother and her new friends gardening. Her new garden was a 16th of the size of her old one, but it was just as bright. As she tended those new blooms, I reflected on my life outside of my family. I had grown up in the same city, gone to the same school, and have known the same people my entire life. I was afraid of what was to come because what I had was so familiar. Why would I want to leave? However, watching my grandmother in her new house, tending her new garden, surrounded by her new friends, but also her family, made me realize for the very first time that losing a place does not necessitate losing the people of that place. That group can always be added to. My loyalty to those I love is so strong and a cornerstone of who I am, so I was quick to equate relationships to places. However, while that tendency was sweetly nostalgic, it was immature, and I let it cloud what possibilities lay ahead of me. I love my lake house and the places I have made my memories, but more importantly, I learned that leaving a place only prompts me to carry those I love with me. Look around at the girls, teachers, and faculty next to you. I know that some of those faces are some of the most loved and important people in your life. I realize that it might seem far away for some of you, but the reality that I'm going to be separated from these wonderful people in a few months makes me very upset. However, I have hope too. It is easy for us to associate people with places and places with people, But what I want you to consider is that instead we should associate people with the relationships we have with them. We will all leave St. Mary's, this nourishing and life-changing place that has brought us all together, but we will never leave each other. My point is, no matter how old we get or how well we knew each other, we will have these memories and we will have these relationships for a lifetime. Thank you.